Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald on the road with Illinois Stories. We're leaving our station in Chadman. We're in Springfield right now to our first stop, which is the Springfield and Central Illinois African American History Museum. Also today we're going to the Prairie Rose Alpaca Farm, the Hands of Fate Brewery in Springfield, Edgar Lee Masters' home in Petersburg, and Creekside in Lincoln, and also the new Route 66 Mill Museum in Lincoln as well. It's a full day. Glad you could join us.
Good morning, Vietnam. No. Good morning, everybody. I saw some of the Vietnam documentary the other night, and so that's fresh in my mind. Good morning. We are really glad you're here. We've been looking forward to your being here for quite some time, and now you're here. We forgive you for bringing the rain with you, but we'll blame Mark for that. Okay, it's his fault. I'm going to tell you a little bit why we're here, and so that you'll have some expectation as to what we're going to give you this morning while you're here. We are a unique museum. We're only 5 years old, and we are, since February of 2012, when we opened our doors to the public, we have realized two things. First, that we're so unique in that we are the first and only African American History Museum in Springfield, Illinois. And there's some history there, but I won't get into that. We are also unique because we don't have a national focus. That's not our mission. Our mission is to tell the life experiences of African Americans who have lived and contributed to life in Central Illinois communities, not just Springfield, but all of Central Illinois. And people tell us we're doing a pretty good job of doing that. Everything you see on these walls, every presentation that we do here, every program that we do here has to tell the story of how African Americans lived and contributed to Central Illinois communities. You're going to see a lot of that today. We also are unique in that all of our exhibits were done by local African American Springfielders or Central Illinoisans, and we'll talk a little bit about those who contributed to what you'll see here but don't necessarily live here. You're going to learn the story of New Philadelphia, which is an outstanding story, and which is frankly the reason I'm here, because I'm a kid coming from St. Louis, Missouri, an urban area, loved history, but knew nothing about local history. You're going to see local history today. The other piece of our mission is that we're educators. We're educators. We have to educate any and everybody coming through our door on the rest of the story. Too often, and I think some of you may agree with me, too often history has been told in the classroom, in presentations, and certainly in textbooks. History has been told from one story. Okay? There's danger in a single story. Our commitment, our mission, is to tell the African American story as African Americans live that story here in Central Illinois. And it's just an amazing story. It's constantly we're finding people calling or coming in, and they want to help us tell our story. We invite you to help us tell our story, however you see fit to do that. But we will tell the story as African Americans lived that story.
After our first stop at the Springfield Central Illinois African American History Museum, we headed north toward Petersburg, but on the way we got to Salisbury and pulled in on Grigsby Lane, where the Prairie Rose Alpaca farm is located. A man, his wife, and her brother have been operating this for several years, and we got a chance to see these animals up close. They're frivolous, they're beautiful, they have beautiful texture and fiber, and in fact, they gave birth to a brand new one just about 10 minutes before we got there.
We went to Alpaca Days, which National Alpaca Days is in September, and fell in love with them. I've worked animals since I was about 8 or 10. My grandparents lived on a farm, and they had goats and maybe 2 or 3 head of cattle. And I've worked with pigs. I was at the veterinary school, and these guys are just so easy to maintain, and they're just cute. They eat grass mostly. There is alpaca chow. Purina makes an alpaca chow that they eat. Some of them really like the camera. So if you've got a camera, that's who is that? That's Pandy. She likes to get her picture taken. We're going to bring up some of the babies that are on what we call the show string. The show string are usually somewhere between 6 months and 2 years of age. For some unknown reason, after 2 years of age, they stop showing them. And we have 5 right now that are on the show string. One of them got loose when the baby was coming, so we'll bring those 2 out. It's Thistle, and he's what we call a medium silver gray, and then Galileo, who is a medium fawn. Alpacas come in 16 different colors. The white one, the one that's like facing directly towards me right now eating, she's white. All those other ones in there are what they call beige. I don't know, I can't tell the difference. It's like beige, ecru, all that stuff with paint. Even though they're hardy, they can be sick and you don't know it. We've lost a couple because we didn't know they were sick until it was too late. All these girls are in here are between the ages of about 7 and 2. And the littlest bitty one there, she was just born in the spring. That's Rose of Lima. Her mom is the white one, and that's the fun thing about alpaca genetics. There's 16 different colors. There's white, there's beige. The tanny colored one, those are called fawn. There's medium, dark, and light fawn. And then there's black, and there's what they call true black, which the 2 standing closest here are true black. And then the one by the fence is what they call a bay black. If you've ever seen a bay horse, it's the same thing. Alpacas in the United States live somewhere around 20 years. They're originally from Peru in the mountains. And in the wild, they only make it to about 15 years, but because of the care, they have a little bit longer lifespan. The big thing is the gestation period is 11 to 11 and a half months. When you shear them, this is what they call the blanket. And this is what they call prime. And then they have what they call neck and legs up to about what they call their hock, which is their knee. And that you can still use. That's for like socks and things don't necessarily need to be really soft. We usually leave them with this, they call it a top knot, just because I think it makes them look cute. A lot of people shear them off on their heads. If you see how it comes up in like things, they call those bundles. And then when you look, it's got waffles. And they call that crimp. So his, I don't know, how long is that? I don't know. Yeah. And he's what they call dense. And I call it dense animal because even if they're dirty on the top, when you pull them apart, they're not dirty. What? No, you're not going to go see the girls. No girls!
I'm Kathy Olson. I'm the president of the Masters Museum and Home. See, Edgar Lee was born in Garnett, Kansas in 1867. And within a year or two, his family moved back here. But Edgar Lee Edgar Lee got along better with his grandparents than with his parents. So that's why he lived here with his grandparents. We have all the books over there that he's written, plus Spoon River Anthology. Spoon River Anthology was by far the most popular. He wrote Lincoln the Man, which was by far the least popular. He did not like Lincoln. He blamed Lincoln for everything that ever happened in the world, basically. Edgar Lee was married twice. He didn't live with either wife. But he had kids, so he had to be there a couple times. Oh yeah, they were his. This desk here is the desk that he wrote on in Chelsea Hotel, at the Chelsea Hotel in New York. This is where he spent a lot of his later years, right up until he got sick. And then he went to go live with Ellen Coin Masters, his second wife, and she took care of him until she died. In this case here, one of the neatest things we have is we have Edgar Lee Masters' death mask. It was very common back in the day that when you died, they put the plaster on you and they did a mold of your face. Edgar Lee Masters also has a death mask because when his father Hardin died, he went and pulled an art student away from class and said, "Come here, let's go get the stuff. You're gonna do this death mask for my father." So to get his money's worth, Edgar Lee also had his own death mask made. And you can tell a death mask from a live mask, from a death mask, you're all relaxed. Because your dad, you don't care. A life mask, you're laying there 2 or 3 hours with plaster on your face and straws up your nose, so you have a tendency to furrow your brow and pucker your lips. And Hardin Masters, who you'll see on this back wall in the parlor, he had big bushy eyebrows, big bushy mustache. Well, when they did his casting, when they pulled it off, they also pulled out some of his hair. Yeah, that's at the ALPLM, and that's pretty cool. We just reformed as a board 3 years ago. The house had fallen into a little bit of disrepair with no board. We replaced the siding on the south side, the windows on the south side. We're just finishing up the front porch. We need to finish the windows around the house, and we have a little chimney work. Once we get the outside all buttoned up, we will be working on the inside a little bit. We need to change out some fixtures and stuff. We're in the process of changing out some things in the bathroom. Originally, there was an extension on the house. That part didn't get moved. Why, I don't know. But that's the part would have had the bathroom and would have had a bigger kitchen. Now we have a little bitty kitchen, non-functional, and a small bathroom. A lot of the furnishings in the parlor are family pieces. Either his cousin Edith, who went on to be a high school teacher here at Petersburg, or his grandparents. Petersburg had a lasting hold on Edgar Lee. He did write at one point that Petersburg was his heart's home, and after he was older and had mellowed a little bit, he came back to Petersburg. And I think he appreciated Petersburg more. And even in Spoon River Anthology, when he wrote about Petersburg and Lewiston people, Petersburg people were portrayed much nicer than the Lewiston people. So he changed the names, but everybody knew if you were a lawyer and you were a drunk, you knew who the drunk lawyer in town was.
Okay, so how was lunch? Good. It was good? And the beer? Excellent. We had a few beer drinkers. We'll have time for a nap for those of you who just had a beer. Before we get up to Creekside, Creekside Environmental Center is property of Lincoln College up in Lincoln. And they've done a lot of work out there. They've made it a biology center for their students. And they have an insectarium which you'll be able to go into, and they have a meeting area, an outdoor meeting area, and there's a tall grass prairie that they've restored there, and there's a boardwalk that goes all the way down to Sugar Creek. So I think you'll find with the sun out today, I think you'll find that it's going to be a delightful place to spend 45 minutes or an hour or so. So get ready for a 45-minute ride from Petersburg to Creekside, and when we get there, we'll get out and enjoy the sunshine, okay? All right.
Certainly welcome you. This is Lincoln College, so you're at college today. Most people don't think of college being outdoors, but I do. For 24 years I was a professor here at this college. I had previous lives all over the world. My doctorate comes from Australia. Nobody's checked on it yet, so I think I'm safe now. This has been heartwarming to find this property owned by Lincoln College. I needed it for my students because Lincoln College is an educational institute. So kind of picture that as a mission of a field biology or geology or just visual arts and photography. Every course could be taught out here. We're starting history out here. So it's an educational institution facility. But we also have other commitments in colleges, and one of them is research, a scholarship. It doesn't have to be scientific research. It's just we like to have people with scholarship credentials, and this property provides that. The world's largest woolly mammoth, the last woolly mammoth on Earth, so it has the youngest date, was found right over there. So if you're going to research things that you thought you had to go to Siberia for, you don't. You go to Lincoln. We've recently, because some of you know about farming, you dig up artifacts from Native Americans and even pioneer times. This field and a field down below the terrace is more of a flood-prone area. The creek itself have a lot of Indian artifacts, Native American, also pioneer artifacts. So we're doing research with that. So that research component, the scholarship, we provide. The third part is, now all of that could have been, I could have a lane coming up here in one place for a bus, because I'm one of the 3 bus drivers, so I appreciate the bus drivers' worries today. That you could have just pulled up a bus here back in those days, but I also realized this could be a community resource. So I want you to hear right now, and I'll be finished talking soon, but I always say that, when you leave today, I want you to have one thing in mind. You own this. This is yours. Tell me what you would like to do. Now, I've turned 2 things down. We're not going to turn it into a 4-wheeler track zone. No skeet shooting out here, and that was the president of the college that suggested that. So we're not going to do a couple of those things, but everything else have just fit with our mission of an environmental education center. you'll have to find a brochure today. And so there's a brochure near you, or we'll get one to you. Because it lists everything. I'm not going to go through everything that is here, things like fire pits and a new sculpture that was dedicated the other day. It's called Nature's Embrace. You can have your picture taken. I can't get in it, but kids can get into it, or you can stand in front of it. Looks like Mother Nature is wrapping her arms around. I call it a tree hugger. Yeah, a tree that hugs. So it's a tree hugger sculpture. But we have wonderful things, boardwalks for, because as a college we have to be ADA, accessibility to disabilities. We've gotten to the log cabin, which is back there, so we have a nice boardwalk you can pick up in the front and follow all the way around, all the way to the log cabin. It does have a little plaque that says Lincoln Rotary Bridge, but don't make that step because the bridge ain't there yet. I have it in my car, gave me $6,000 to purchase the materials, so we're going to build a little footbridge there for it. But we have a lot of things out here, the forest, the creek, and we got an insectarium. So you'll have to go over, we got the rock, where did Mandy go? The rock and fossil whisperer I called over here. We got the freshwater mussel whisperer, she will be over there. And then Daryl is our butterfly whisperer, a local fella. Now our insect house is open to the weather. We went through great stages, packed. We started out with one female monarch, ended up with, what do we think, 300, Daryl? Daryl is our butterfly whisperer, 300 that were released. And we got just 3 more. They're late emerging from the chrysalises, so we'll release them maybe even today. But we've had other species.
From Creekside, we meandered through north of Lincoln, through the country there, and then through Lincoln to this site on the old Route 66. This site is the old Mill Restaurant. It was here since 1929, long closed, and then opened earlier this year as a Route 66 museum.
Well, welcome to the Mill, everybody. Mark's right. It was so great when he came back this year compared to what he saw 10 years ago. And people ask me why this long timeline. Well, you'll see how truly bad a shape it was in, but it was really more of a money issue. We started the project in 2006, and this building was about ready to be leveled. The owner was facing a bunch of fines for it being unsafe. And so I quick formed a foundation overnight, a nonprofit, and at the urging of Ernie Edwards from the Pig Hip restaurant down the road, we got the place saved. I purchased it for $10. So it only cost $100,000 to get it in shape. So let's come on in and I'll start showing you some of the bizarre stuff inside the mill. Welcome. This would have been the main dining area in the mill, and there's a couple very quirky things you need to see. First of all, a mill original here is the leg hanging out of the ceiling. And it's hooked up to the original motor. It's on a motor. And it was symbolic of how bad a shape this place was in even when it was open as a restaurant. It was the running joke that someone had put their leg through the ceiling. Now when we were restoring it, a couple of us actually did put our legs through the ceiling, but that's another story. So as you're looking around, we're going to let you look around. Not only do we feature items from the mill that are in this case and the original cornerstone to the mill, but you'll see we're the official museum for the Pig Hip restaurant, which was down in Broadwell, famous restaurant. We have the only display outside of Pontiac for the Tropics restaurant, which was located here in Lincoln. And we have a little bit of World War II memorabilia to commemorate the Camp Ellis story, including this donation of an unarmed World War II shell that just came in recently. So have a look around in the display cases. Now the other quirky thing we say from the mill, and if you're afraid of noises, let me know, but if you want to experience the mill for its crazy, if you went to the bathroom, this basket was sitting in there unassumed, no name on it, nothing to signify it. And if you were a little too curious, this is what would happen. And so everybody knew you were in the bathroom and you just got tricked. So, so that's how strange the mill was. So we've tried to recapture that. Interestingly enough, too, we were able to save the sign, and behind you we saved a sign from one of the earliest motels on 66 in Lincoln. But our star, our selfie star, is the mascot over there from a chain of gas stations in Lincoln called Illico, and they actually went up into the Peoria area. And that's Illy the robot, and anyone can take as many pictures of everything as you want. So, but he's our selfie star, and be sure to shake Illy's hand. So the back area, we've converted, that's the bar, we've converted into a gift shop, and the sales from the gift shop pays our insurance and utilities and stuff. But you'll see a real neat old jukebox back there, and one of the oldest TVs I've ever seen is on the counter back there too. So have a look around. I know you're running a little behind schedule.
The Mill Route 66 Museum was our last stop on a memorable day, and as you can see, the sun's out at the end of the day. The day is bright, the leaves are orange and gold, and it was a beautiful day. It started out rainy and cold at the Alpaca farm, but then improved, and we learned a lot and had a great time on the road with Illinois Stories. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send 1995 to P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.